Folks, we are here with Nerdy Tenors Mechanical Keyboard. We are basically day over day, week over week, improving the sim technology at runthesims.com. We have the Travelers Championship this week. It is a limited field, a signature field event. So there is no 36-hole cut. Projections much higher this week. When I pull up the Run the Sim screen, you'll see that. Coming off What a week. What a week at Oakmont. We castigate JJ Spawn. Brian goes, I'll never forget when I played JJ Spawn on the Outlaw Tour and he missed the cut. Crazy story, JJ Spawn. JJ Spawn, the doctors thought he had type 2 diabetes. He loses 40 pounds. They realize he has type 1 diabetes. He was like basically about ready to quit professional golf. Like truly, of all the major champions in my life, feels like JJ Spawn. I don't know, it's maybe a tie between JJ Spawn and Danny Willett for most improbable major champion that I can remember. But certainly there was a chance that that Mr. Spawn was not going to have played golf. Chris Gotterup, the Stone Nuts, a guy we spent a bunch of time talking about. I think he finished 11th in the end in the U.S. Open, although maybe not the Super Nuts because Scotty Scheffler, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, none of these guys. I believe none of them even finished top 5. Did Rahm finish top 5 in the end?
Top 5, but he was up there, wasn't he? Well,
just very, it's, I suppose if the purpose of using Sims is to find you different parts of the game tree that your opponents are not utilizing as much and having you access those parts a little bit more, they probably did their job at the U.S. Open. It was about as chaotic.
Rahm 7, one off top 5. Carlos Ortiz, top 4. He was in there a lot. And Robbie Mack was in those a lot too.
Yes. Yeah. The Sims liked Bobby McIntyre. I think our manual adjustments last week, I'll tell you the one manual adjustment we made that was nutted was Bryson ownership. Bumping Bryson ownership up and bumping Scotty down. I believe in the Lotto Millie Maker, Bryson ended up being more owned than Scotty. I believe it was like 38%, 37%, right, which just very funny that Bryson played so poorly. Not
that funny.
Not that funny. I won't because my stuff had a bunch of Gotterup. Stuff had it was funny because I also nuked Sam Burns in my personal stuff. I just excluded Sam Burns. He looked overowned to me. Joke's on me. Not great there. Dustin grading my own individual ball knowledge calls. Turns out Dustin Johnson has nothing left. Just absolutely nothing in the tank. Spieth made a bunch of birdies. I don't think he ended up in the lottery winner, but if you would have played Spieth in your single entry stuff, you would have been totally fine with him. I don't know. I mean, that was a crazy golf course, right? I think that is a true once a year thing. And I don't even know from a data perspective what there even is to take from that experience. Cause like good shots were just getting punished. You'd see your guy rip a drive and it just landed in Sam Burns hit it into a divot in the fairway and the rules official said, sorry, dude, tough luck. And that ruined, he could have ruined his round basically.
Yeah, that's a bummer for Sam Burns. Dustin Johnson, you mentioned him. Did you see his ownership? Do you remember what it was?
No. What did he get pumped?
I'm looking now. So remember, we wanted to drop it below 5, and you're like, just keep it.
Yeah.
1.68. So even the people in the lottery have lost faith in Dustin Johnson.
That's actually crazy. That shows me so much the difference in DFS these days because a former major champion at the course they won the major at in like 2015 DFS, 2018 DFS, that would have just been catnip. No one would have been able to keep themselves from that.
Because they did the same research I did. They saw the picture of Paulina Gretzky, and they're like, this guy has absolutely zero need to try hard ever again. Taylor Pendrith, we moved up. Some of our L's here. We put him, I think, at 13% owned. He came in at 8. It's not that bad, but percentage wise, Robbie McIlroy didn't change, but he only came in at 6.47 ownership, so that was a great play.
Man, he almost backdoor. Imagine winning a major championship sitting in the clubhouse, because that almost happened for him. Like basically, if Spawn doesn't hit the 2 drives of his life, like or even if Spawn's drive on 17 that he drove the green, if that just he gets a bad bounce and it rolls off the green, Robert McIntyre probably wins sitting in the clubhouse, which is just crazy. I don't know. Did you find it to be good TV, Brian?
I didn't watch a ton. I just watched a little bit on Thursday and a little bit on Sunday. I don't know. I like this type of stuff.
What about for DFS? Do you think that a course that packs that much, just like for DFS, do you think that level of variance that a guy who's 100, because most major championships, a guy who's 150 to 1 might as well be 1,000,000 to 1. They'll never win. It just you could play the tournament 1,000,000 times. They never win, right? It's the same 9 guys at every major championship, but that is just not true at the U.S. Open because of how weird it is.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, for DFS, it's like totally different, right? That's what kind of ruins your sports love. It's just like if I'm down, I want chaos. If I'm up, just everything keep going the way it's going. A little bit better for me. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't you explain, if you can, Dan, a little bit of what we are trying to work on here with the sim product over at Run the Sims?
Well, it's just a regular day in paradise when you wake up before the show and realize the code isn't quite working. So, but I think we got it all fixed now. There was just a little data problem where it wasn't working, but I think everything is fixed now, actually.
Oh, wait, you do?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm going to check in both environments here.
Okay.
You do need to reload the web page.
So I tell him he's good then?
I just did. I'm just going to double check on the other environment. Make sure I'm not full of crap here.
All right. So the biggest update from when we did this show last time is that when you do your little fancy generate lineups button, you now have the ability to run the sim for a tiny field, which is entry count 100, top payout multiplier 31x, small 444, 80x, medium is what is that? Oh, it's blocked by my webcam. 800x, and then 8,000x for the top payout multiplier. That would be your lottery field sizes to run against. We have projections. We probably should do some tweaking of the player pool in a couple different directions. Brian posted a Rory quote this morning. So Brian is trying to know some ball. He's in the streets trying to learn what Rory's headspace is.
He's one of us, right? With this tweet. Isn't that exactly how you feel, Davis? That's how I feel every summer. Is like, oh, I figured something out. Maybe it works for a round or two, and then it, like, for some reason it just doesn't work at all, and then you got to figure something else out, and then eventually winter comes and you can't golf around here.
Well, I'm getting lessons right now, so I don't have anything figured out. I basically every swing, I'm in between my old homemade hack swing and what my instructor is telling me to do, and I am just, putting it, because I got the two-way miss, right?
Before you got lessons, though, haven't you ever had that feeling where you? Well,
yeah. It's like, oh, dude, I'm hitting my drive, my drive's hitting the fairway. I figured it out. Yeah.
Even Rory, apparently.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. These guys, you see it. These are some of the biggest tilters on earth. Tyrrell Hatton, tilter, Rory.
Well, last week was huge. Yes. Wyndham Clark too, right? Didn't he get banned?
I think people were calling for Wyndham Clark to be banned. He tilted his way off the golf course and then broke some of the lockers in the Oakmont locker room.
I saw that he did get. I remember seeing something on Twitter that he did get. I don't know if it's true, but I thought he did.
Yeah,
some consequence for that. Yeah.
Was that real, Davis, or fake news?
I haven't just ask Grok if it's true, right? I mean, that's all you got to do. Yeah. At Grok, is this true? Is this true, Grok? I would guess it probably is true. I would guess you probably can't take your driver to the locker room at I don't know. What do you think it costs to go to Oakmont? $100,000 a year membership,
More than that.
$200,000 a year.
I would guess at least a couple hundred, 250. I would guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm gonna guess that you can't destroy the locker room of a $250,000 a year country club and then expect to be invited back.
Seems fair.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. From a high level, how are you guys thinking about building lineups when there is not a cut and when it is a small field? So this is, I believe, a 72-person field. I'm not going to count them all one by one. This is one of these signature events. And I guess the other thing on top of that is you don't really have to question motivations for anyone in this field, because I think first place is 4 million, maybe 5 million. So meaningful money even to Rory, meaningful money even to Scotty at this point. So what are you thinking about these smaller fields?
I always think, Dan, tell me from when, the question, is this a stars and scrubs slate, you get in DFS all the time? This is actually one where it matters, like the difference between classic and showdown, because the scrubs actually are gonna, unless they get hurt or whatever, play 4 rounds, and they get 4 rounds of variance, which is what we want. So that question still isn't very good, honestly, even for these type of slates, but it's way more meaningful on a no cut event than a cut event. That's the first thing I think of. Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, it's sort of two sides to that. So being no cut, you do get 4 shots of variance for the not so great guys, but on the other hand, like, there's a different kind of variance where you prefer a cut event, where, like, if you get the cheap guy who has a not great chance of making the cut and then makes it because of variance in the first 2 rounds, it can unlock all these other constructions for you with that, now they have guys in full field that'll be like less than 6K in salary. They used to never have that. So it's interesting. The other thing is, because the field is so much smaller, I think there's 71 healthy golfers in the field right now. I think Vegas is the last one to get out, if I'm not mistaken. There are far few combinations that you can make. So
way fewer.
I think in general, it makes these kinds of contests lower EV for a good player, because there are less ways to get different. That, put another way, the field, the kinds of mistakes that the phone shitter bros make about just jamming too chalky stuff are less of a mistake in this kind of event than they are in a full field event, because there
are fewer
combinations should be much more owned than they are,
and there are just fewer bad lineups that exist, right?
That's also true.
Yeah, there are fewer bad lineups. There are some guys who are just so evidently bad plays. Like, I don't know, just pulling up these projections. You have like Nick Dunlap, who currently is fighting the yips. You want a contrarian play in this field. Play a guy who shot a 90 the Thursday of the Masters and has been very open about the fact that he has the yips. You'll be the only one in the field with him. And then there are just a bunch of guys who just project like dog shit that there's very little reason to play. I mean, obviously, if you've got some kind of inside info, it would be interesting, Brian. We always talk about how could you cheat in golf? I mean, how about if you just knew Max Homa, or you knew Eric Cole, or you knew Steven Yeager, and they were just like, dude, I'm locked in right now. This course is so easy. I played a practice round on Tuesday, and I birdied every hole, or I had a birdie putt, or the greens really suit my eye. I mean, that would be, and you could kind of get that stuff in golf. Like, you could, like, Austin, if you wanted to talk to Austin Eckroat, you probably could. You could probably send Austin Eckroat an Instagram DM and be like, hey man, how are you feeling? You like it here?
Mm-hmm. The feeling, the hurt stuff, especially if they're high owned, high scoring, like the key guys. If you knew that they were actually not feeling good, they were sick, hungover, whatever, that's so helpful. That's a little less helpful when you're talking about the 6,400 guys, or so, like, if they're not feeling good, it's like, no one's playing them anyways. But yeah, individual knowledge could help. I don't think I would call that cheating, though, honestly.
Not cheating. That's like, that would be like Kelly criterion, like edge stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you were like, oh man, or probably a better example is on the other side. Like, I don't know, let's sort by ownership here. You knew that Ben Griffin was nursing a wrist injury or something like that. That would be your edge. There you go. Justin's buddy is playing the Pro-Am with Scotty this morning. He's going to try and get some intel.
Oh, nice. What about this? Is this cheating? Let's say the PGA, who's the guy who's resigning that everyone hates? The
Jay Monahan.
Jay Monahan. Let's say on his way out, he's gonna do his last stupid idea, and that is he's gonna pick 20 guys after the cut who are out of the tournament. And this going in. Is that intel or is that cheating? Because that's like definitely things that are definitely going to happen.
I don't know.
Are different.
I think ultimately, and it's just an annoying answer, it comes down to whatever DraftKings says is cheating, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, are you allowed to like find out insider stuff? I actually have no idea. I can't imagine it comes up very often.
No, you are. No, you are not. It's called like, about like court siding. Like you bet before like if you're at a tennis match and you bet the next point and you're able to like, you have your finger on the button, you see the point go out and you bet it. You'll get like super banned for that.
I think that's specifically spelled out though. I think the intel stuff, like if you hear through the grapevine that Scotty Scheffler is not feeling great, that I'm pretty sure that's legal.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things to keep in mind, like this doesn't even need any special intel, but like on these full field events, if you're looking at, not horrible players, but not the elite players, some random guy in the middle, somebody like, I don't know, I'll find someone just as an example here, somebody like, Nick Taylor. Okay. So let's say Nick Taylor is playable this week, but if there's some doubt about his health that's reported on, in a large field, if you sim it out and just say, let's say there's just like a 10 to 20% chance he's an early withdrawal. If you add that to your sim, and like, let's say you're getting like 5% of him before, you add that to your sim and you get none.
Right.
Like, he's just gone. And the reason is, in a large field, like you have so many other choices, it doesn't take much to eject someone from the player pool, right? If you've got lots of other choices around the same salary amount, right? So that's another way of thinking around this kind of stuff. If it's a highly projected player, like a really good one, I mean, this is the problem with Hideki Matsuyama, right? In years past, we're like, when he's healthy, he can just crush. But like, there's always this. Then you actually have to think about it a little more carefully. But for like the middle to lower guys, like if there's that kind of risk, you can just X them out.
Hideki, I think it's pretty easy. If it's a real tournament, he's not withdrawing. If it's a tournament he doesn't care about, there's like a 5-10% chance he's withdrawing, which is different than Jason Day, who could get vertigo on the 4th round at the Masters, and that's it. He just has it. And there's nothing. He has a back thing too. But yeah, that's my Hideki. He made the cut, by the way, Dan. I did, because I was almost gonna send you a message like, Dan forced me to play Hideki. Why did he do this to me? But he actually ended up making the cut and didn't play that bad. Davis, you ever seen the movie Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd?
No, but I'm familiar with it.
I know Dan has. I don't even have to ask him. The premise is well, at least one of the premises is the bad guys know they try to get inside intel on the government's projections for like orange crops so they could bet the futures market.
It's a great movie.
Oh, it's classic.
It's a
classic.
great movie.
Yeah.
We've seen it like multiple times in my house.
I know, of course. Anyways, the reason I'm saying that is because like I think there's a difference between like knowing the outcome cheating and like speculative, like maybe Scotty's hungover, but he's fine. He plays even better. Like you don't know. And there's a difference between getting the knowledge, like the NBA draft. Like you get the results before it gets to the market. Like you know who's number one pick. Dallas is number one before everyone else. Like that seems like way more cheating to me. I don't know. It's kind of hard to do in sports. But I think most of this intel stuff, morally forgetting DraftKings, whatever DraftKings says, obviously is going to be the final decision on what happens to your account. But morally, my guess or my opinion is like all the intel stuff is probably morally fine. We talked about it earlier, Rob. I think they did pretty good.
Yeah. I think they. I mean, they were higher on Spawn.
We may have had a bug. We're not even sure if there was like a little bug, but it's been fixed.
Yeah, I would say based on my lineups that none of my lineups did very well because I way boosted Bryson and I played like 10x the field of Dustin Johnson and I did not play any JJ Spawn. So tough scene. But the Sims, I would say the Sims generated lineups that had I been my ball knowledge been right would have been in a good spot based on my analysis of the lineups, which I'm never going to play stone cold on the projections anyways. So I think I can't really ask.
That's a good example, Davis. That's a good example of the difference between being a ball knower and a sim bro who's had the majority of your tribalism beat out of you. Is I play JJ Spawn despite playing him in the Outlaw Golf Tour and having him get cut and be like, how I can never play this guy ever again. But the Sims told me to, and like, what do I really know? You know what I mean? And so in my best lineup, I played JJ Spawn despite that experience, where a ball knower, their benefit would be like your Dustin Johnson thing if it went the other way though. Because you would have been way over the field at 1.6%. I'm assuming. Yeah. I don't know how many lineups you played. And you would have just benefited immensely. But you were punished because you forced no JJ Spawn. Didn't you take out Burns too?
Yeah, I played some Spawn, but I played no Burns.
Okay, well you played some. I thought you played none. But either way, you get what I'm trying to say. It's
yes.
The difference between
we are going to have FanDuel integration for this, right? It's ready right now, right? For the sim product, we'll be able to do FanDuel. Yeah,
it should work.
Yeah, there you go. I just mostly play PGA DFS on DraftKings, and I think I don't know how much do you guys play on FanDuel?
Hardly at all these days.
Hardly at all.
Yeah. I may need to put in some tweaks for FanDuel to get it to work. Well, we should talk about that because the distributions are a little different because their scoring system's a little different. So we'll talk about that. It shouldn't be too hard to add that, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Should we start making some tweaks on DraftKings and then run some sims and generate some lineups?
Sure.
Why don't maybe this week we try run, I don't know, 500 lineups or something, and then just see what it's telling us.
Yeah. Do you want to? I recommend
too crazy.
I recommend ramping up the randomness too, just to get lots of different shit.
Okay. Yeah, because we're just looking to see what it's saying.
You could push that as hard as you want.
Do you want one unique or two uniques, Brian? How do you feel about uniques in golf?
I wouldn't go much more than 2. I mean, well, we're just right now we're testing.
I would put it to 1 for testing, just so
put it to 1.
So we get lots of different.
Put randomness to like 50.
Yeah.
No, 23 Jordan number.
I would put the salary range max that, and then you gotta always remember too. I think this is going to save your settings. So if you're setting something,
I was going to say these are my settings. These are my settings from last week.
So if you like change your salary cap for the milli, you don't want to get duped. Remember, it's going to save it the next week. But raise your minimum up to 50, 49.5 or 40, something like that, because it's almost actually this week do 48.5.
48.5.
Also, both of you make sure you've refreshed your page because our front end developer put a fix in.
Okay.
I just refreshed. So I think we are good.
You can bump the randomness up a little bit more too, dudes.
Yeah, totally.
All right, who's a good sports number that's in the someone's got to be 66.
What's Mario Lemieux? 66, right? What was he?
I believe that's right. All right, let's generate 1,002 lineups. Let's see how quick Dan's code has.
I had a Mario Lemieux jersey.
Well, this is somebody else's code running right now, to be fair, but it's pretty quick.
Tea time ready. Wow, that's pretty quick. All right, here we go.
So let's run some.
We've generated.
Do you want to do it on the lottery or the middle one?
Let's run it for the lottery. I assume, everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to win $250,000. So let's run the sim for the large field.
This will take, 15 seconds. 20
Our highest projected lineup is Mav McNeely, Keegan Bradley, Lucas Glover, Andrew Novak, Scotty Scheffler, and Daniel Berger, which is interesting because Aaron Rye is the top points per dollar golfer. So just interesting that he's not in it. Although he is in the highest expected value lineup. Berger, Siwoo, Denny, Aaron Rye, Scotty Scheffler, Davis Thompson. To be honest, that might just be the shipper. I think maybe we just found it on the first run. That is a good lineup.
Show's over.
So let's scroll to the bottom. I want to see a nice spread of EVs. I want to see crap at the bottom.
All right, we ran 1,002 lineups. Let's find
a lot
the
of
worst.
There we go. Okay, so there's some garbage in there. That's a good sign, actually.
Worst lineup of the 1,002 lineups that we generated spends 4.8 of the salary. It has no Scotty Scheffler. It has Tommy Fleetwood and Xander Schauffele as its expensive guy. Harry Hall, Justin Thomas, Gary Woodland, and Johnny Vegas, who I
think Vegas has a 0 projection, so that would be why.
I believe
Does he have a 0 projection or 0 ownership?
I think he's not playing tomorrow, but
well, there you go.
On that.
Probably should remove him then.
We have him for 68 points.
Oh, we do. Let me see.
There we go.
If he's out, because
I know Data Golf had 2 guys.
I think it was Connors in Vegas.
Oh, he just got added.
Oh, added. Okay, I have it backwards then.
And then if you want to bring him back, Davis, see the hide excluded, click the little check mark next to hide excluded, and then you can bring him back.
Wow,
okay, Connors is out. Vegas is replacing Connors. Okay.
Yes.
You remembered.
Yeah, Connors hurt his wrist last week. In the middle, you know how he hurt his wrist? He hit a TV cable. He hit one of the
oh my god!
It was like buried in the rough or the sand. I can't remember which. And he on his downswing, his club impacted a TV cable, that was only there because of CBS or whatever. And he finished his round, and then he got back to his hotel or whatever, and was like, "Oh yeah, no, this ain't gonna work. Not gonna be able to play." So running bad there for Mr. Connors.
Sue him.
Okay, so let's decode. So I think a good process to look at is like you look at the ones that are extremely high. And you're like, what's going on? So I think the thing to look at is to compare the projected ownership for these guys from our one source with the other sources. That's the first place I would look.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do a little look-see here. So
our exposures too. We got Scotty Scheffler. Morikawa, Straka, Berger.
You know what? You know what's one thing we could add that would probably make a lot of sense, Ryan, which would be a nice addition, is after you run a sim, it should give you a EV weighted exposure by player. So it's basically the average EV of every lineup that contains Davis Thompson is X, because that kind of allows you to quickly see, oh, I'm getting a shit ton of this guy being considered valuable. Do I believe that, or is my ownership off, or just my projection need to be adjusted? So who should we look at first here? Do
you want would you just to clarify the EV exposure of lineups you built, or the whole field on the back end?
I think of the ones you built, it's like, so just go through this and average the EV of every lineup that has Aaron Ryan in it or something. So let's look at who's appearing a lot at the top. Looks like Aaron Rye,
Daniel Berger,
and Berger. Let's look at those guys. Let me look at Aaron Rye first, see what's going on.
Yeah, so Berger last week was 6% owned in the lottery, unless we win it. Unless you win it, you don't call it a lottery. It's a lottery when other people win it. Rye was last week was 7.8% owned.
So
Siwoo, when Siwoo started hot last week, I was like, how did I not have a Siwoo?
You just confused South Koreans. It was
what was it, Sungjae?
It was Sungjae who birdied 5 of his first 6 holes.
Okay.
So we have in this we have 10.3. This is a data golf number, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm comparing Rye and other sources, and I see an 18, a 14, and a 12. So it looks like we
go back to the player pool, Davis, and bring Rye up.
Yeah, probably boost his ownership.
And let's just start making changes here.
All right. I love
it. Yeah. Go. So let's go 18 then.
18 on old Aaron Rye. I think that is absolutely directionally accurate. He literally is the top points per dollar guy.
Okay. Get rid of him in the search bar, because I want to normalize after that, but I don't know if you want to normalize when you're filtered like that. Yeah, normalize, so that bring us back to down bottom left.
Bang.
There you go.
Normalized. Okay.
And then what was the other guy?
Daniel Berger.
Yeah, that's a good Berger.
What is Scheffler? Does anyone have Scheffler like 49% or anything crazy?
I'll find that out next. Okay, right now Berger DG is about 13. Let's see what the others have. The others have, oh my gosh, 21.
Okay.
So this one, let me see what another's.
Yeah. So this is clearly what's.
I see a 13. This is wide. I see a 13, a 21, and a 14. So boost this one a little too. I would
do like 16.
Yeah, Berger, another fan favorite.
It'll bring it down.
Yeah.
Berger also. So the other funny thing about Berger, not funny in terms of the data, is there is a huge percent of his sample that is wrong because he was playing through an injury. He had I can't remember if it was a back injury or a leg injury, but he was like, I don't know. Let me pull up his strokes gained graph. It's like very funny. You can see when he got hurt and you can see when he started to feel better. So like, look, he was up.
Yes.
He got as high as, and
he got hurt.
He got hurt. So he's just like sucking ass. And then
Rob, this is your answer.
Yeah.
Everyone's seeing this. And somebody made a tweet that I saw too that made a lot of sense about Berger about like a month or 2 ago. I'm like, oh, maybe he's back. And you want to get in early before these guys.
Well, look, you can look. He's gaining strokes off the tee. He's gaining strokes. He's actually like beating the field on distance. So yeah, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable. He has made the cut at every major this year after not playing in the 2023-2024 majors. So I think I would say Berger is relatively back. And yes, as as Rob noted. Loses, although he is gaining strokes putting right now.
Yeah, I want to talk about that on Endgame possibly after this show.
Uh-huh.
I have a theory about that. Could you go back to the ownership? Because if we're going to put him here and then normalize it, he's going to be 15 something, which is perfectly reasonable, I think.
Rory, too high. Rory won't be 15. If
No, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
You think?
Under-
Last week he was, what was he?
I bet he was like 11% last week.
I have my camera and
I can find that for you really quick.
what was he?
Oh, I closed that window. God damn it.
Rory McIlroy. I can't find him.
I can do it. Just give me a second. On the big draft.
7.2. I got it, Dan. 7.2.
I'll
Yeah.
confirm
See?
this one.
People are over it.
That's insane.
Stay woke, Brian.
Okay, fine. I guess lower him, but I like him. I like Rory this week. He's one of us. He figured something out. Here's the difference. For him, it'll last for a week or two, you know? For us, it'll last like one round, halfway through the round.
I think honestly, I think Rory is playing fine. There's nothing mechanically wrong with him. He's not hurt. He's adrift, man. Rory is a tilter. That's just what he does. Like life tilt.
Yeah, he's back with his wife now too. Maybe that's it. Maybe I don't like him. Who was the other guy? Who we got to switch here? So what do we want to drop Rory to? 12?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think we knock Rory a couple percentage points.
I've got a 13, and
Mori. This definitely feels like a Morikawa week. I think we move Morikawa to 21.
Dan, what do you got Morikawa at everywhere else?
My other places, let's see. Little poll here.
Because it might be higher than that.
I have a 16.
Okay.
I have a 17. And I have a 20.
Okay. Do we want to be the highest out there, Davis?
I think you want to be high on guys like Morikawa, because when a guy with the crazy tee to green data projects well, you just get a lot of people who hand click him. Like Morikawa, it's like, oh, all right, I pulled up my projections. Morikawa is the third highest projected, but he's the fifth most expensive. So bang, easy. You know, yeah, I mean, honestly, a great way to think about ownership is like, okay, I listened to the Mayo show. I listened to I don't know, the Run Pure show, whatever, and these guys like him. He's the Giblets play of the week. You know,
okay.
that adds a couple percentage points.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You want to take what we got and
just run it again, same way.
Yeah.
All right, generating 1,002 lineups with a 66 randomness.
Should have gone all the way to 69, but oh well.
You do that for your final build.
Build only, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and
All
now
right,
we're
we
doing a large sim.
Can't waste all your luck like that on just making these lineups.
That's right.
A proposal that I have for this tool is the same thing we have for NFL setup, and in the money, percentage and a top 1% or a top 0.1% or whatever.
We can do some distribution like stuff for that. That's not too hard to add. Yeah.
When I here's something I do for NFL Showdown. One of the filtering processes I do is I filter by not just EV. Like I'll do 75 lineups filtered by EV, and then filter 75 lineups by in the money, and then delete the dupes, and then do it again until I get to 150 for my set. Gives a nice little distribution. Yes, the subscription. Dan, can you explain the subscription levels coming with a finite number of.
Actually, Brian knows this better than I do.
Yeah, there you go, Brian. Can you explain that?
So the $25 one will give you 5 EVs back. 5 EV. It'll grade 5 lineups. We were trying to make like a 1 lineup. That's how like the Solver did their NFL one, and I watched Davis build with that, and I'm like, that's cool. We gotta do something like that. So we did a few more lineups. You can grade 5 lineups, and then the full one is you can make 5,000 lineups right now. But eventually we're gonna do something with you'll just be able to make you'll get a ton of lineups. Dan will explain that later when we have it. Yep. But I think the amount of sims is however many you want to do.
Yeah, the amount of lineups. So there's a software guy there if you want to nerd out for a second. So it turns out that adding more lineups to the sim that you want to grade is actually does not dominate the compute time. So it's a little slower, but not much. It's really about the size of the fields and how I generate those in the back end and how many sims to run. But yeah, no, I mean, we'll have the price points where we need them so that everything is paid for. I spent a good amount of time making this stuff pretty efficient. So the good news is as I make stuff faster, we can run the sims for more sims for the people, sims for the people, right? So
yeah. So I think the answer to the question is, hopefully we don't eat too much of the computing costs, but right now you could just click it, run it again, keep doing it until you like your field, or not your field, your lineups.
Candidates, yeah. So let's look again for, Aaron Rye. We have to do Aaron Rye. Did we do him yet?
We did.
Oh,
we bumped Aaron Rye's ownership up. He still features in the highest. And it's actually a full salary line. So that's really interesting. A full salary lineup with 85%. Is that cumulative ownership? Cumulative ownership.
So it makes sense that he's popping so much because these are data golf numbers and they have him as the highest point per dollar. So
yes.
That makes sense. So
we can adjust projections next.
Yeah.
But let's
keep going on this path we're on. If there's any guys, we think the ownership.
Sepp Straka, Henley, and Cantley. Oh, Ben Griffin could be interesting, but definitely Sepp Straka.
Okay, so we have
here. Let's sort by the highest points per dollar guys and see if any of these don't make sense.
Wow.
Davis Thompson keeps popping up.
He always does. That's another data golf guy.
Right. So he's going to be one of those cheaper guys that's just a lot better than everything near him in price, I think. Let me see if that's really true.
Maybe he's the guy who drop a point after this.
How many yards do you think the TPC River Highlands that they're playing this week is?
I have no idea.
Dude, it's 6,800 yards for these guys. That is it's a par 70, so you take out 2 of the par 4s, but still, that is crazy short
for them.
So I'm looking at data golf values at the lower end of the salary spectrum. So below 6,500, there's 3 guys that data golf likes: Davis Thompson, Kevin Yu, and Lucas Glover. In terms of value. So we're going to see a lot of those guys probably.
I think you could just lower Davis. You could lower Davis's projection by a point, maybe.
Yeah, let's lower him to. Let's just make him 74 flat. Okay. Kevin Yu, that is a guy with massive weekly variance. I'm going to lower him to 71.5. I'm going to give Benny Ann an extra half a point. And I'm going to lower Jason.
See, this is where Davis earns his money.
I'm going to lower
ripping off takes.
Well, okay.
I like it. Don't get me wrong. I like it.
Here's a classic. This is if you're listening to a golf DFS podcast, someone will say this. Yeah, Benny Ann's not going to win because he's going to make an 8 at some point. But I mean, that dude for like the last like 5 years on tour, Benny Ann is one of the absolute purest ball strikers. So if you just run into a good week for him, I mean, this dude will just start ripping off birdies.
Yeah.
Byung Hun An here.
I like Sam Stevens in that range, but
all right. So look at Benny Ann's historical putting. I mean, this dude is truly one of the worst, but look at his approach. So good. And then his total strokes gain. Keep in mind, this is while this guy loses strokes on the greens. He still is a much better than average tour player based on his tee to green play. I mean, it's crazy, dude. It's like actually crazy that a guy with his skill set is even able to play. Yes. I mean, look, man, we've been waiting on it for a long time. I want to say, does he have a win? There you go. He won a European. They don't call it the DP World Tour. He's had some decent finishes at majors. Did he win one in 2023? Somewhere in here, he won one.
He needs to get Scotty's putting coach, right? Because Scotty Scheffler's putting like massively improved in the last.
Dude, he played so bad that he had to go back and play the Corn Ferry Tour.
Oh wow!
Did he win the gold?
Didn't
Siwoo end up winning the gold? I can't remember. I know Rose
that
won
I don't
it
remember.
Year.
Yeah, had to play the Corn Ferry Tour in 2022 because he look at this, dude. 2021, this guy over a whole year lost almost a stroke per round putting.
Wow.
That's so bad, man. That's crazy. Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we, while you have Aaron Rye there too, why don't we just drop him points that you think he's?
No, I think Aaron Rye's a really strong play.
Okay.
I'm not hating.
I did want to say this in this testing stuff. I think something that's fun, and a lot of people who don't know a lot about sims don't realize this is a sim. I've said this a bunch, but I'll say it again. Some people think like a sim's going to give you some like spooky different strategy that like a poker GTO did back in the day, and it's generally not going to. Sometimes it'll surprise you, but it's generally not going to do that. And so like if you in the NBA is a perfect example, if you have like a backup point guard who's all of a sudden starting at a low salary, there's basically, and he's a good solid point per dollar play. There's no good sim anyways, that's going to be like, oh, this guy is bad, because his ownership is 60%. Like it's like not going to happen. If you even raise it up to like 80 or 90%, it'll usually just lower him a little bit in the amount of lineups you use. It'll basically never go what like a lot of people do where like, I'm just going to X out Christian McCaffrey at number one. Like you did, Davis a couple years ago in best ball. Like a sim's never going to tell you that. But what's interesting about this, the way we have this set up is you could play around with these numbers. You can make them, you could like bump the ownership up so high and like, okay, what point will this actually start really hurting him? And we don't want to use them, or bump the projection down and find out what point, because there are alternatives and it depends on the slate. That's why it's interesting on the slate dynamics. So like on certain slates, like Aaron Rye, you could drop him 5 points and it's still giving you a bunch because there's no alternatives. But maybe really quick, just let me finish this point, is on some slates, maybe you drop them 1 point and now it's like a whole bunch of different results because there's a lot there. So it's nice to know when it's really telling you this guy's a guaranteed, home run park, giving it the information you're telling it, and slates where it's like, oh, actually there's a lot of alternatives there. And then you can make that, decision point there. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say we should go around after we get something we like. If we have time, we should just do some straight up messing around.
Yeah, perfect.
But the other thing I wanted to add to that, which I've also said a ton of times, is that ultimately what you're looking for is EV. And it can be a little confusing because sometimes you'll make a small change and all of a sudden the guy will just disappear depending on what your process is. It doesn't mean that guy is no longer playable. It could be that there were a bunch of guys really close to the same threshold and you just booped them down enough so that he doesn't appear anymore. So like, it doesn't mean that those lineups with him are now terrible. It just means they're a little worse than the alternatives, and you're just not seeing him because your product is finding something a little bit better. And it doesn't mean that you can't play that guy. That's why it's really good to look at the numbers. Like when we hit that sim button and there's this big table, like you're going to see a lot of similar names close to each other in EV, but it's worth surfing around and seeing like, hey, if I go down a little bit, who do I start seeing more of, right? And then it's up to you to decide how seriously to take the numbers.
That's the definition of a must play, is there's no alternatives.
Right. Yeah.
Not a guy you really like, or a guy like, are there alternatives given the field structure you're expecting?
Right.
And player pool.
It's kind of interesting.
I kind of like lowering Rye, but maybe I'll do that on my own stuff. But go ahead, Davis.
You're gonna lower a dude who wears
I don't know. I just see 7,500 Rye. Of course, everyone's gonna play him. You like him, and he's gonna shit the bed, and then somehow he's gonna withdraw even in the no cut event.
I mean, if you want to do a little bit of ball knowing, you can look at his recent results and be like, okay, this is actually worse than the baseline. He's established, plays poor at the Memorial, plays poor at the Charles Schwab, really good PGA Championship. What was it? The Mexican Open was the one that he almost won, and then played an awful 72nd hole and ends up finishing fourth. He won the Wyndham Championship in a playoff, I believe. But this is the type of guy, and this is more ball knowing than sim knowing. Suppose it's a relationship of the two. Is Rye would be the sort of guy, because he doesn't hit the ball very far. He's lost distance versus the field off the tee in 24 of his 25 most recent events. That is going to be more subject to randomness. I mean, one of the things Mark Brody did all this work like 15 years ago. Every what's the book called? Every stroke counts, I think is what it's called. But basically, the math is absolutely clear. Every yard further that your ball advances is better for your golf score. So 320 yards from the rough is better than 280 yards in the fairway. And everyone who is listening to this is like, that's not true. I hit the ball in the rough and I know it's immediate bogey for me.
That's because you suck, though. That's because we all suck compared to you suck compared to these guys.
Yeah, a lot easier for a PGA professional to hit the green from 110 yards in the rough than 150 yards in the. I mean, it's like guess what? A 4-foot putt's easier than a 6-foot putt. It just is. So if you wanted to start, like, if you just wanted to put guys in buckets, you could say an accuracy player. It's just going to be more subject to variance. I mean, an accuracy player is going to be more subject to a bad bounce, right? You hit a spot on the green that you didn't know was baked out, and you roll off the side. You know, I mean, it's just going to be worse for Aaron Rye than it is for Cam Champ, right?
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. Should we generate with what we got? I don't know how many changes we made.
We didn't really make a ton of change. Let's go back really quick to the field.
Actually, I want to give
the results, Davis. We did.
Yes.
We did. Did we do Straka?
What are we looking?
No, we did not do
Straka,
anything.
Henley, and Griffin. So ownership on Straka.
Okay.
That's an ownership up, in my opinion.
So we have Data Golf has 14. Other sources, I see 11.
11 is way low on Straka.
16 and
Harmon
18.
will be pretty popular. This is
I love 16 and 18. 18, 16, and 11.
Okay. Davis, yeah, you're 15-ish.
Yeah.
Make it like 15 and a half and then normalize.
And then you wanted Henley? Who did you say?
Yeah, Henley.
Mr. Henley. Okay, we have 11, and the other guys.
Do you not put in a dot?
It's not letting me put in a period.
I had that problem too. We should follow up.
Just do 15 then.
15.
Yeah, that seems like.
All right,
it'll let you load a dot but it won't let you type a dot. So
Right.
the Henley numbers I see are, let's see, 15, 18, and 11.
Okay. So this is low. So let's go to 16 on Henley. And then Brian Harman, I believe this is Brian Harman's home course. I believe this golf course, this is the place he like lives here.
So we have 12-ish, and then others have 8. 8, 7, and
he has okay. This isn't. It's Colonial. It's Colonial that he's the member at, but he has 4 straight top 10s here. So I'm gonna bump. I'm gonna bump Harman to.
What did Dan have, man? Average wise?
8, 7, and 11 were the ones.
Okay, so you're going over on that one
I'm
too.
I'm going over. I'm
All
going
right,
over.
Fine. Let's take some stands.
Harman is also the first guy that if you sort by like any kind of like accuracy stat, like a lot of people generate their lineups using like models. Like I mean, and the models are way overfit. I don't think it's a great way to build DFS golf lineups, but people do that. They what our buddy Mayo has one, the BetSpurt site has one. I think it's a pretty bad way to play golf DFS, but people do it. Sorry. Was there anyone else? Henley, Straka, Harman.
We did those.
Brian, did you say was there anyone else?
I think that's enough for another run.
Yeah, let's see what we got.
We did like 5 or 6 different things there.
Yeah,
I think so.
Plus, every time you normalize it, it's changing everybody else too.
It's changing everybody else.
Yeah. And just
like our text here.
Yeah, it's in the
time. Yeah.
If you don't click the normalize button, it doesn't matter. It will do that in the back end, but it's just useful to see where your numbers actually are.
Yes. All right.
Just for people who are trying this later.
Running DeSim for a large field. Ryan Gerard now showing up in the highest projected lineup.
We might want to lower that randomness a little now that we've tightened things up.
Made some adjustments.
Yeah.
So we should probably look at Fleetwood. What do you think about Fleetwood this week?
Oh, Tommy.
JJ Spawn makes an appearance in the top 10.
All right, the highest EV lineup still contains Daniel Berger, even after our adjustments.
Oh.
Matt Fitzpatrick, Ryan Gerard, Siwoo Kim, Matt McNeely, Scotty Scheffler. And this lineup is also projected in this run with some randomness, 3 points higher than every other lineup in the field. Kind of interesting.
One further down there. That's
yes, you're right.
You're right. It's sorting by TV, yeah.
So
yeah.
So Dan, I just realized, I mean, we're 57 minutes into this, and so maybe we should have explained this in a different way. But can you explain why what is happening in this product is so different than other public-facing sims? Because I know what it is, but you're going to explain it better and why this is so quick.
The first thing is that it's quick enough that you can generate fields based on the user ownership. So whatever you type in for ownership, it's going to match that in the generated field pretty quickly. Pretty happy with that part of it. And then the other thing is it's not just generating one field for you. It will run 100 sim, like in this large contest is what, like 48,000 entrants. It'll generate one field of 48,000 lineups and then run 100 sims on that. And then it'll throw that in the trash and generate a new contest with 48,000 new lineups in it, run 100 sims on that, throw that one in the trash, and do that a bunch of times. And where this really matters a lot in terms of getting the variance down on the EV numbers is in the smaller contests. So as we've talked about ad nauseum, if you have a very small contest and you lock the field, it's going to be very distorting because you can have guys that could appear anywhere from 0 times to 4 times in your 100-man contest. And if you just lock on one of those, it's going to be very misleading which lineups are plus EV and how much. So the sort of the randomization across many different fields is going to give you more of a realistic EV number. Now, with that said, if just because I'm an engineer, I always know when things aren't working. I wouldn't believe an EV like 199%. That's still unrealistic. So there are things about our projection and ownership that are probably a little off. Plus, there's still some variance in the results. But if you scroll down just a little bit, since we've got, these are, I don't know, 20 of the top 1,000 lineups. If you scroll down just a little bit, can you do that over there? I don't think I have control.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go down like 10% of the way down. Yeah, now we're starting to get into a more believable EV numbers, right? Like if I had a sim give me these numbers, I could believe it, especially in a big flagship where a large portion of the field is probably making some big ownership mistakes, right? But yeah, just keep in mind, anytime you run a large number of lineups, your outlier performance lineups are going to be more outlier-y, right? Just by definition. So you will see some crazy stuff at the top, and that's to be expected. But maybe we should, I don't know, what should we do next, do you think?
I mean, let's see. So here's something we should do is we should run the sim for a smaller, oh, I clicked on the caddy. We should run the sim for different size fields and see the differentiation.
Okay, tiny
small.
Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind here, we're not adjusting the ownership for contest size. That's your responsibility if you're using this tool.
You did it, David. It worked. It's that fast.
Yeah, wow, really it is really fast.
So if you're doing a small contest, you have to adjust the ownership. In particular, the chalkier plays should be even chalkier, and the contrarian plays should be even more contrarian. This is, it's true in theory and in practice if you look at contest data. So there are sites that will give you ownership numbers for different contest sizes, and you're going to want to plug those in if that's what you're assuming. Because, for instance, it's going to have, who does it have? Actually, it's not that concentrated.
You'll notice, I mean, one of the things that happens is the EVs are a lot flatter. I mean, look at all these teams look at all these 61% teams, you know, with no overlapping golfers, 61.98, 61.68, no overlapping players between these two teams.
Right. But if you dialed in ownership that's more realistic for a small contest,
yeah,
you should see those numbers go way down. The EVs go way down.
Right.
It's very hard to, against a competent field, and usually the small fields I play are much more competent than the large field. It's very hard to get a sim EV that high. So
right.
In large field, it's a little hard to tell because the field's much worse and there's a lot of noise. But in a small field, if you're getting like tons of lineups in this range, I would be like, something about your ownership is off because you shouldn't be seeing that many.
Yeah.
So obviously we're using large field ownership right now. So it's no surprise that, you know, a bunch of lineups are just popping ridiculously. But you wouldn't get that in the real world.
Rob asked earlier about single field.
Yeah. How would you leverage this tool for single entry?
Well, you would go to the closest field size on that small, medium, large. Yeah. It doesn't have to be dead on accurate, just for anyone wondering anyways. And then do what Dan was mentioning. You have to adjust your ownership. And so it's actually not that hard to take the if you go to the field again, the pool page, and adjust manually, you basically just the value plays get played more.
Well, I was gonna say, could you
played more, just like a cash game.
So could you do this for a hack? You do,
yeah, like move him to like I would move him to like 55. Yeah, it depends on how big your tournament is. And then you 30, keep normalizing until it adjusts everybody. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
Don't do that though, because we need these numbers. We're not done yet.
Here I can reset ownership.
Do you want to reset it?
Yeah,
because that got rid of all the adjustments we made.
Yes, you can set a static player, right?
Yeah, you just lock it in the
just lock it in to the right, Dave. It's the little lock button.
Yeah, well, I was saying on the like I think you can do this. Yeah. There you go. You don't even have to do that. You could go to the search bar on the build and just search Schmid and it'll just show you the best Matty Schmid teams.
Yeah, or you could
all you
lock him
gotta
in
do.
and build if you just want to build a bunch of them with him.
Correct. Yeah. All right, what do we want to do next?
Well, I think
here,
you did
let's build.
I think you just wiped out.
Wiped out all
No.
the work we did on this show.
No, this works. This works. This is how we're gonna do it. We are gonna build my team in the dog leg. So this will actually work to answer Rob's question because I'm not gonna play the lotto this week. So let me pull it up, and I
did want to test shot, but I wanted to do it, Dan. It's too late now, but Dan, I was going to say the top two guys there, Scheffler and Morikawa. I think they would have been good examples of guys if you change them. I think one of them would have not changed. Like Scheffler would not have changed, but Morikawa, you might have got alternatives for him.
Okay, so I think in a small field, so we think Scotty will be about 50. We think Maury will be about 30. Xander will be about 25. Sepp will be about 19. We think Rory less. Cantlay will be more. Let's normalize.
Yeah,
is that how you?
Normalizing, and then,
I was gonna say, is that how you do it? You just normalize it.
Yeah. So now that Davis will probably be a little higher.
So we'll go 11%. We'll go Novak is kind of a fan favorite. We'll go 12. Benny Ann will go 5. Aaron Rye will be 20.
Way up.
Yeah, he'll be in. Okay, let's do normalize. Points per dollar. Who else do we? Well, here, let's sort by ownership and let's see which chalk will get more chalky. Cam Young. Oh, how invigorated will the Slappies be after Cam Young T5 at the US Open?
Yeah, he'll be up there. You probably could click Spawn up a click or two, McIntyre up a click or two, and the sim like Griffin and Henley.
Griffin will move to 18. Henley will do to 17. Brian Harmon will be owned a little bit more in small field. Normalize.
How many entrants are in the one you're playing, Davis?
How many entrants are in this? This field is 3,000. So that would be the medium build, right?
Close, yeah.
Let's adjust Berger up to 18. Let's adjust. Yeah, is Lowry going to be more or less after last week? The Slappies always love Lowry. Projections always love Lowry.
He got hammered last week.
He got hammered. Yes, he did.
You know, Coolers, I think that ownership button on the left actually is a undo.
Yeah, I think it is. Sam
Burns. You don't have to go the nuclear reset option.
Sam Burns will be more. All right, normalize. All right.
Let's get
do we think this looks better?
Well, let's see what we get.
Yeah, see what happens.
All right, generate 1,000 lineups with some. Would you decrease the randomness building for a small? Like, if you knew you were trying to build this for a small field, would you want better projected lineups? Would you decrease the randomness?
I think it depends what phase of your process you're on. So, like I think boosting the randomness early makes sense just as a tool to see what the hell's going on, and to get lots of different things. And then if you're actually generating the lineups that you might want to enter, that's when I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure I agree with that now that I say that out loud. Maybe you tighten it up. I don't know. It also depends how many lineups you're building for. Like if you need to build a lot of lineups, you don't want so much randomness in there that you can't find enough good ones, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a hand builder type dude, so I don't just talking out of my ass a little bit here.
So Daniel Berger is in all of these lineups. Daniel Berger is in only 18% of the total lineups that it generated, but looks like he's in 10 of the top 20. So I think we should go back to the player pool, and instead of adjusting his ownership, I think we should just nuke his projection a smidge. So let's just give him 80 flat, and let's generate again. Because that feels wrong for Daniel Berger to be in 13 of the top 20 highest ROI lineups. Doesn't seem. There we go. So he's in the top lineup here, but not in everyone. He's not in the third.
We have to sim him though. These are just.
Oh yes. Oh, you're right. All right, medium field. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to play around with.
Yeah, and that's sort of what we're going for. Is like make a change, run a thing, quickly see the result. Like that sort of loop.
The old edge. Sorry to cut you off, Dan, but the old edge was the piece we're giving you essentially. No one knew this stuff before we started talking about it on live on podcasts, which was probably pretty dumb. But so now that more and more people are doing it, you just want it done well, and then actually go back to 2017 and get your projections and ownership as good as you can. And there's plenty, because you can see from some of these EVs, there's plenty of errors out there still in these projections.
Yeah.
Is interesting to give away the sauce.
Unless you're super into it and building your own stuff, which is another option. Not saying you have to use this one, but
now
Bradley is in everything.
Now Keegan Bradley's in everything. So that I guess that tells us something structurally, that basically like the computer thinks that you just kind of need a guy in that
Berger EV. You dropped the EV by like 60 points by changing Berger down, so that was huge.
Yeah.
What do we think about Shane Lowry? A little DFS comeback week. Everyone's chalk boy not even making the cut.
I mean, he was just tilting his absolute face off. There was no coming back. He was too tilted. The guy made a 2 on a par 4 and like wasn't even happy about it. He was like frustrated lap. I think it was on hole. He started on the back, so it was hole 2, and he made a 2 on a par 4, and he was just like, well, that's golf for you. What can you, he forgot to mark his ball. He picked his ball up without remembering to mark it. He was so tilted. So get him out of the tilting environment. He's all the way back.
Okay. Cause you got 12% of them here. And I mean, why not? I'm thinking.
All right. I'm
back in the old DFS days, Shane Lowry would have went from 30% owned to 10% owned after missing the cut. Now he'll just drop like a, whatever, close to optimal probably.
Whatever the projections do with his strokes gain numbers after those rounds, that's all it'll do. All right, so the top lineup when I filter by Scotty is disgusting. Keegan, Matt Fitzpatrick, Michael Kim, Siwoo Kim, Scotty Scheffler, and Nick Taylor. Do we think that's the lineup I'm going to submit? I guess it is.
We do not think that's good.
No, why not? Why not?
Oh, okay.
I know.
You praised it, I thought.
I have. I'll tell you this. I have far fewer strong opinions about professional golf than I do about football. Projections for professional golf are better than NFL projections are. Like I think they're both more directionally accurate and more data based.
Yeah.
And I know far less about golf. You know what I'm saying? Like I know what goes into an NFL projection, and I can disagree with the input. I can say, you're giving this guy 62% of the routes. No, man, he is a 78% of the routes guy. You're wrong. Whereas like, I can't really argue with the way Nick Taylor's being projected. But like, actually, you're giving a 4% weight to a short-term putting form, and it should be more like a 9. Like I just would have no way to know. And it's just way more fun to argue about football. Way more fun to argue about football.
That's true. Well, also, what are the things you could argue about with a golfer? It's like, how much is his leg bothering him?
You'd argue about what is driving his success. Is his success based on
like,
his irons?
Is he trying something new and it's not dialed in yet? Or
if you'd want to argue about a database, then you could argue, should I be basing my projection on a 24 round rolling average? Should I be basing it on a 50 round rolling? Should I include the US Open in Aaron Rye's data, or is that such a weird golf course that it doesn't even apply and we should exclude that entirely? Should I include Corn Ferry Tour stuff for Byung-Hun An, or are those courses and those fields so weak that you're actually hurting your data? That's what you could argue about.
sure, yeah, but even there, it's almost like data sciencey type stuff.
Right, it's already in. It should already be in there.
It's not like I know better about how this coach is going to behave when they're up 2 touchdowns, with 3 minutes to go, or weird shit like that, which could matter a lot if you're right. Like, you just aren't as many no ball levers to pull, even, let alone whether you're right about them or not. There just aren't as many available.
Yeah. Wind, you can argue about weather, I think.
Yeah.
I want to point out, though, Davis saying he has less takes with PGA than football. It's like saying like Shohei Ohtani is like, he's not, as good a pitcher as a hitter.
He's not as good of a pitcher.
Yeah,
right.
So you're like, the most takes ever to comparing it to that, but you still have a ton of takes. I still
have a ton of takes.
He pitched an inning yesterday. He pitched yet? Did he pitch?
Yeah. Davis is pitching an inning right now, and then he's going to go back to batting after this show with best ball.
It's like a switch hitter who is way worse from the left side of the plate, but they still do it.
Yeah, but he's still 100x better than your average.
Who is that Yankees catcher? The Yankees catcher who is a switch hitter. He was around for like 20 years. He was way.
Oh my God.
He stopped hitting from the one side of the plate at a certain point.
Huh? Just gave up.
Oh,
what is his name?
I'm old. I can't think of that off the top of my head.
Jorge Polanco. That's not it.
That's not
Jorge.
It. Don't say it.
Yankees catcher, switch
don't
hitter.
Say it. What is wrong with me?
Oh, okay. I remembered it.
It's not.
You got one of the names.
It is. It is.
What?
That is who it is. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. He stopped switch hitting.
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else then.
But yes, it is Jorge Posada.
I'm just remembering the YouTube videos I saw of some batter in some minor league or something, and after every pitch he would switch to the other side of the plate.
I remember that.
Shane Victorino stopped switch hitting.
They outlawed that because of that guy.
Oh, really?
Cedric Mullins.
Posada. How did I forget that?
Yeah. Cedric Mullins also used to be a switch hitter, is no longer. So he just hits right-handed now. I actually can't left. Yeah, he hits left-handed now.
Oh, P.S. Looking at Posada's baseball reference, total juicer.
Total juicer. Yeah, age 24. He barely played in these, but 0 home runs, 6 home runs when he was 26, your strongest year historically. 17, 27, 28 year when he was 28, 12 homers, 28 homers at the age of 29. 30 when he was 32 years old, he had his most homers. 30 homers. When he was 38, he had 22 homers. Yeah. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure nothing happened.
God, I thought he was better than that.
No better way to end a PGA DFS sim show than Brian's theories on
when he was 36, he hit 338 with 42 doubles and 20 homers and 500 at bats.
So here you go, folks. These are the options that you've got for PGA. $25 a month. You can generate 5 lineups at a time with contest sims. You can get unlimited lineups for $20 a month. You can do a 3-day trial period. So if you signed up for it, right now, or if you just sign up for it every week with a different email, you can do that too. Just keep just endlessly generating emails, and you would be able to get mini trials. And then this is not finalized yet, the Shady's portfolio optimizer, but that is for the what do they call those? The power users only for the Shady's portfolio optimizer. You can use promo code Davis, DAVIS, for 10% off of any. There is Shady is, I believe right now he is the 5th best DFS player in the world. If you look at the Roto Grinders rankings, he is also business partners with Run the Sims, and he's also business partners with the Sidekick over at Legendary Upside. But basically, all you need to know is he's really rich, more, really rich.
I'm sure he will come on the show one day, or a show, and explain everything in more detail.
Yeah, actually, I will. I'll reach out to him.
I forget how niche our world is, and I just kind of assume everyone knows who Shady's advice is. So, but you don't.
Well, you know what's funny is because he is like newer relative to me in DFS, is I didn't even really know who he was until he partnered with Corain. Like I'd never interacted with him before because he was not part of the he was not part of the OG.
I think we started playing around the same time, Shady and I did.
Yeah. You guys came after the games were already good, Dan. I mean, isn't that crazy?
Big mistake.
Could have cleaned up on Draft Street in 2015. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Head on over to runthesims.com if you want to play around with these tools, and we will be back with you guys